Thank you. Sri Lanka, you have the floor.
Very fine manner in which you have conducted this meeting. We associate ourselves with the observations made by the distinguished delegates of India and of the Russian Federation. Chairman, it is said that the easier illicit drugs are to get, the more people will use them. Now, this resolution can have exactly that effect. The more people use illicit drugs, the more people will abuse them in ways that have bad consequences for them and their families. Laws against the production, distribution, and possession of these drugs make these drugs harder to obtain and so reduce drug abuse. If these laws were repealed, drug use would increase dramatically and with it, drug abuse. These laws, Mr. President, have a cost to them. When enforced, they overburden the criminal justice system with drug law violations. They create a black market in drugs, which gives rise to organized crime, which in turn gives rise to street violence and police corruption. They cost money to enforce. They make drugs use itself less safe. And they impose criminal penalties on a recreational activity that many people enjoy. Still, the benefits in reduction of drugs abuse is worth the cost. My delegation begins by recognizing the view that drug control laws must be balanced and that the checks and balances must surely be built in. We suggest that if most citizens do in fact reject this balancing of values, there is no overriding moral reason why a democratic government should not adopt and enforce stringent drug control measures. These are, of course, moral limits. However, we concede that the equal protection of the law must be fully extended to even drug offenders. The approach we see in the draft resolution suggests a paradigm shift in our approach to the problem, a commitment to placing priority on human rights over drug policy objectives must be considered carefully. We cannot let the pressure off in our fight against illicit drug trade. There can be no illusion about it. The change of the contemplated policy is very controversial and needs to be mulled over with great circumspection. For some governments, moreover, drug control is a constitutional obligation. Let's not forget that. In international law, addiction is seen as an evil that states have a moral duty to combat, and drugs are viewed as a threat to the very foundations of the state. Mr. Chairman, with regard to the draft resolution before us, Sri Lanka observes that the main focus of the resolution has been diluted by new provisions that are important but not integral to the matter that is at the core of it. Sri Lanka will therefore abstain on this resolution due to the reasons highlighted above, and we reiterate once again the need to strengthen national drug control measures and the need to strengthen international cooperation to combat the global threat of narcotic drugs in the most effective manner whilst having due regard for human rights. I thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.